Hello, everybody, and welcome. It is NBL Overtime, all thanks to LD Mobile, and we have got a stacked show. Kevin Martin's going to join us, one of the owners of the Brisbane Bullets, as they gear up for NBL 21. Some big signings, in particular, over in the West. But I do start, and I'm flat. I'm going to go to you, Homicide, first. So a couple of things that have flattened me out. Of course, tough times right now, in particular in Melbourne, where we are. But I'll tell you this. If you are going to have a painting or a drawing of yourself, Homicide, you've got to include it in the background of your own TV show. I see you on the gram yesterday. There it is, a beautifully drawn picture or painting of yourself, and you've got another print behind you, man, as I welcome you in. Come on. Where is it?
Man, I want to give a shout-out to my man, Rob Drimo. He did an incredible job. I'm not just saying it because it's me, but the attention to detail, I was very impressed. Been living in a hotel the last 3 years, 2.5 years, and I finally got into a unit, so I didn't want to open it until I was able to put it on a wall. I have to get it framed, but that's what you saw yesterday, me just opening it up, giving him some love. Appreciate it, Rob. And, yeah, once I get it up, I'm pretty sure
once it's framed, it's going to sit there over your right shoulder. Is that what you're telling us?
Yeah, why not?
Okay,
why not?
Good. I like it, because I think that should be a rule. Hello to you, Liam Santa Maria. If you have a painting or drawing of yourself, it should be in the set.
Oh, I didn't know that rule.
You got one?
I've been rocking the Suns. Bright in the valley.
Shout out to the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah,
hey.
I know this is an NBL show, but come on.
Yeah.
Liam, that's the team. You know, got to give credit where credit's due. 8-0.
I'll give credit. They rocked up for 8 games for the entire NBA season. Had they worried about the first 70, they'd be in the playoffs. Hey,
that's true. That's true.
Hello to you.
I'm good, man. I'm good. Yeah, no, I'm running a little low in the wine stakes here in lockdown, but I might have to get someone. Corey, did you commission a painting of yourself, or did that just come about?
No, it actually came about.
Okay.
You know,
all right,
just a lot of love, you know, out there.
Okay.
Yep. I might need to get Finn Delaney working on something for my.
All right.
Hey, okay.
I like it. I like it. I look forward to all of that. And I think the rule is, if you've got something drawn to yourself, it should be on set at the very least. We're going to talk to John Mooney signing shortly, because it's huge, of course, big thing happening for the Hawks as well. But the second thing that's flattened us out, and this is why I don't do jerseys, guys. This is why I don't do jerseys.
Yanni
Wetzell. Of course, we all lost our mind. We're excited. I'm going to Europe.
Liam, how are you feeling, man?
It's a letdown.
Do you still get the commission?
I can't deny it. It's a letdown. Was excited that the Pretzel was going to be in the league next season, and I thought, well done to Southeast Melbourne for getting him signed up. There are a number of teams, not the least of which the Breakers, who are keen to get him on board. But he's got that European passport. He's got some German ancestry, and that was always on the cards. I'm told that it was a non-negotiable. They were not willing to talk about any kind of deal without that Euro out involved, and it was a risk that was worth taking from Southeast Melbourne's perspective. You know, the out expired the day after he exercised it, so mid-August. So this is a risk teams make. People often say, look, why are we putting these outs in these deals? You know, like this is, and it's easy to say that from afar, right? But if the only way you can get pencil or pen on paper is to have something in there that the player deems as a non-negotiable, well, that's in there. I'm telling you right now, Bryce Cotton has certain outs in his deal. You think about the deal, like a risk like this. The Wildcats took a risk like this with Tariko White last year. He had like an Asian out up until the start of the Las Vegas Summer League.
There it is.
So, well, that's when we need to know for sure. It didn't get exercised. He stayed with the team and he helped them go back to back. But in this case, Wetzell's heading over to Germany, and we miss out seeing him on the NBL hardwood.
We do. I agree with the situation, in particular when a player has a European passport. I ask you, Homicide, do you think clubs shouldn't announce said player then until the clause is actually exercised? Because they announce it, we all get excited, not just us, but like a lot of people excited to see him in the league, and Phoenix fans. And then, of course, there's always the out clause. Should they wait, do you think, until the out clause has expired before they announce the player?
Nah, you announce the player once you sign it.
Okay.
This is the business.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, different teams will do different things. Perth didn't announce White until it got to that point, like you say, Cam. But look, I'm with Corey. I mean, this is the business. You sign the guy. I like the transparency of saying, we've signed him. He's ours. And then the transparency of saying, look, he's exercised his out clause. We wish him well. We're not going to stand in the way of any of our players doing their thing. So it's a tricky one, but this is the business. And it's easy from afar to say, don't do this, or how could you do that? But sometimes you've got to take risks to get reward.
I agree. The thing is how it comes. I'm not just talking about Southeast Melbourne Phoenix here, because this is something that will bob up over the course of the future as time goes on. The fans, and that was the question really. They say they get excited. I had a couple of people DM me asking me if they could have the Wetzell jersey when we got given. You know what? If you're watching this, you can have it now. You can have the jersey. Touch base back with me again. But that's the thing. Only from a fan's perspective. We understand how it all works. And I would announce too, but I also think it can sometimes work the other way. All right. Let's start with Perth. Oh, something else, Liam.
It's just going to be interesting what they do now. Obviously, it's still a long way, right? Ryan, if it was mid-late August, usually it'd be late in the off season.
Yes.
And I was saying to someone the other day, they were like, well, how much of this is this a problem? And I said, look, if they had signed their imports already and then Wetzell leaves, problem.
Big problem.
That's a problem now. But Wetzell leaving now means, okay, well, we can put some more resources over here. We were talking about this guy. Maybe we can now get in the conversation with that guy at the point guard position. What they do as their backup in that big spot, a 4 or a 5, or how they go will be interesting, because you look at the free agent list and they're going to need to make something work.
All right. Let's look towards Perth, because a huge conversation, and one that we've had almost on a regular basis, is how are they going to replace Nick Kay, of course, superstar that he is, all NBL first team 2 years in a row, and he's gone to Europe, and they've done that. They've got a big boy who, in your article, when you analysed it on nbl.com.au, spoke, loves to eat glass. So he's a big, big unit. Talk to us a little bit about John Mooney and the 1-year deal at the Wildcats. Liam, send him around.
He's a rebounding fool. 4-year guy out of Notre Dame, and was second in the nation in rebounding last year, first in double-doubles. And he's a big boy who gets on the glass. Average about 12 and maybe 16 and 13, something along those lines last year. First team All ACC, which is a big time. Trevor Gleeson likes high IQ players. They've had some guys over recent years who are elite athletes, but constantly find themselves out at, like Derek Cook and Dario Hunt, even JP Tokoto on that wing. Elite athletes, those guys did some things, but constantly find themselves out of position. Trevor Gleeson pulling his hair out. He wants this high IQ guy to come in and play a role, but he's a first-year pro. And it's always interesting to see how guys go in their first year out. And it's not something the Wildcats usually do. They usually go with guys with a bit more of a veteran status. They're going to go with Mooney as their Nick Kay replacement.
I think this is a great pickup. The things that he's was able to do in college, they'll translate over. Eat the glass, like you said in your article. He's 6'9". He wouldn't be coming here if Bryce Cotton's agent, because they both have the same agent, didn't co-sign this kid being able to come in and contribute immediately. So I'm really looking forward. These numbers are incredible. 25 out of his 30 games, he had double-doubles. This kid's a machine. This kid is a flat-out baller. These numbers are crazy. Tim Duncan and Blake Griffin, 200-plus rebounds in the first 15 games of his season? That's incredible company to even be with. So I think even though he is a first-time pro, obviously the transition is going to be a bit difficult, but I think for some reason, with these numbers, I think he'll be able to get over the hump quicker than most.
Now,
I was going to say I think he's going to be a bit more of like a Matt Knight than a Nick Kay. Nick Kay had that ability to. He often looked like a 3 playing at the 4, even as an undersized 5, with his ability to face up, spread the floor. We saw what he did in Game 3 of the Grand Final Series when he couldn't miss from.
Oh my God, we going back there?
but he would face you up and beat you with that first step, and he'd be on the rim and he'd be getting to the free throw line. And his ability to switch out on guards and stay in front of the ball and not let them in the paint. I'm not sure Mooney's going to be able to do all those things that Nick Kay does. But you think back to Matt Knight, who was also very successful in that position for the Wildcats, a bit more like that, bit bigger, a bit stronger, more of a post option. Give it to him, space out. You'll see a little bit of Angus Brandt of him in the post going to the hook. And he looks like he's working hard on his stroke. So if he can pick and pop and add a little bit more of that to his game, then, yeah, he'll do well with them.
Now, of course, Jeremy LaLiga, who joined us last week, the commissioner of the NBL, we spoke a little bit about the next star and the rules and the eligibility and the complication around it, of course, with the NBA draft being pushed back with so much other stuff around professional sports all around the world. He could have been signed as a next star, right? Am I reading this right, Liam, or not?
That's my understanding. It's an interesting one. Yeah.
Do you know as to why the Wildcats didn't take that route, if in fact it is what we believe it to be the case?
Well, again, it's not always just as simple as he could have been signed as a next star.
True.
So sign him as a next star.
That's true.
Right? For instance, my understanding is, they got to a point where they were like, we want this guy. This is the guy. This is the guy we want. We feel like he's underrated out there and we can bring him in and he's going to do the job. If you get down that path, you talk to the agent, you say, hey, does he have any interest in coming down here? And then you go, hold on, he could be a next star. Let's make this happen. Well, at that point, you got to go to the league. Mm-hmm. You got to say, we want to sign this guy as a next star. If he fits, which Mooney would have, he now is made available to everyone in the league.
Okay.
Now, usually, say with Sydney, for example, they're so far down the line. Trajan Langdon wants Diddy to be with the Kings.
Yeah.
Diddy wants to be with the Kings. Yes, he gets opened up to the league, but they're so far down the line that he's pretty much already a King. Whereas there's the potential, and part of my understanding is that there's a potential that they were concerned about that risk of saying, this guy's a 4-year college guy, first team All-ACC. After what happened with Diddy last year, if teams get a sniff that we could have this guy as a next star, we're going to be now up against it to try to make sure. So my understanding is it's more of a case of, all right, yes, he could be a next star, but we really want him. Let's lock him in now. Yeah. Don't let any team get their hands on him. And let's maybe get in the next star game elsewhere. My understanding is maybe the Wildcats are more in that game this year than they have previously wanted to be.
Hashtag NBL Overtime to get involved. Brian Goorjian, anything else on Mooney and the Wildcats? All right, Brian Goorjian joined us last week on NBL Rewind, and he spoke and he gave us a little hint that there was a new import coming, and it turned out that it was. Justin Simon signed 1-year deal. Homicide, I'm going to start with you because he's more a defensive guard than what they've already got on their roster, and it was something that probably we expected with the way that they're going to need someone to play that hard sort of grunt defense.
I mean, and that's exactly why they brought him in, from Big East Defensive Player of the Year. Big East is one of the best conferences in college basketball. So that's no easy feat no award to. That's not a walk in the park. He can get to the basket. He can finish. Wiry, athletic, runs the floor. I had a bunch of friends of mine that played at the University of St. John's. So I got some background on this young man. Extremely high energy, and he's coming to lock down on defense. Spent some time in the G League with the Windy City Bulls. But the thing is, I think why this is a real good pickup is that he can spend all his time playing defense. This is like the guy you attempt to bring in to slow down the greatest man to touch the land, because we all know who the championship goes through. So you got to figure out how to slow this guy down. So this is a great pickup for him.
Yeah, I like his versatility defensively. 6'5", 6'11" wingspan.
Hope he's got deep pockets. He's shouting everyone.
He is going to be able to come in and guard, I'm going to say the 1 through 4, which, that's, and so when you're playing against Bryce Cotton, okay, he's going to guard him. You want to play, you come up against Cairns, he's going to go score Machado. You come up against the Phoenix and Deng Adele's not handling Mitch Creek or Cam Best doesn't, you can put him on Mitch Creek and make that work. So I like the pickup in that sense. What he does at the other end is going to be interesting. They've got some weapons, right, that he's going to be surrounded by. And he does some things differently to what, his backcourt. Like, he's going to start at the 2. I think Tyler Harvey's going to start at the 1. And he does most of his work on the perimeter, whereas Simon doesn't really shoot very well from long range. Puts it on the deck, attacks the rim, moves well without the ball. I spoke to Damien Cotter, who coached him last season with the Windy City Bulls, said, great kid. And we moved him around. He started here. We played him over there. He ended up playing over here. He played 30-plus minutes a game for Cotter last year in the G League. So they relied on him heavily, and he really likes him. And, I like it as a pickup because they needed, like you say, to add some defensive grunt, and he definitely brings that.
If you haven't caught the Brian Goorjian chat that Liam and I had with him last week, NBL Media on podcast, you can watch it on YouTube as well because it is a fascinating chat as you can imagine. But he speaks about, and I'll paraphrase here, but he was extremely concerned when they got through all the ownership stuff that, with, of course, Glover, Deck, finding other homes, he was extremely concerned about how competitive they were going to be. So to be able to put together what they have, of course, even with his early concerns, which probably was one that he wasn't the only one probably at the Hawks management that had them, to be able to put together this team that we're intrigued by and excited by, I think it's kudos to everyone involved in the organisation.
For sure.
Should just answered myself. That's all good. The life of technical issues. All right, let's hope we don't have one now because we are about to. Anything else on the Hawks, boys, before we get to a very special guest?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. Let's get to Kevin Martin, of course. And as currently co-owner, one of the owners of the Brisbane Bullets, we're just going to hit rewind for a little bit and have a look at that wonderful NBA career that he had.
Martin able to track it down, though. Baseline jumper, no. Wiggins fights for the rebound. Into the hands of Pekovic, denied. Another crack at it. Martin wide open, triple, hits it! Kevin Martin puts the Timberwolves on top with just 2.9 to go.
Alley-oop, Martin. Oh, what a play. And a foul. Kevin Martin from Brad Miller. That was a thing of beauty.
That one was ugly, but it was awfully pretty at the same time.
6'7", now plays a lot bigger than that. A real good low post player.
Boy, how about Martin again? And it counts. Put it in the book. Send them to the line. Oh, boy. Kevin Martin.
K-Mart at his brilliant best.
33 for Martin. Well, I'll tell you, if you don't like that, you don't like Kings basketball. 91-89. Martin changing directions. What a shot by Kevin Martin! Oh, boy.
That is Kevin Martin at his spectacular best. Body control, quickness, speed. He's got it all. The Zanesville Zapper got two there.
50 to 44. Nice pass. And Martin with the throw down. That was impressive. It sure was.
Yeah, just the length of Edrins just going over the top of Brad.
Oh, look at the move by Martin. Pretty move. Oh, boy.
That is K. Martinizing the Warriors again. Oh, my. Martin throws it down over Tayshaun Prince. Maybe that'll be the spark that the Wolves have been looking for. Ahead to Martin, to the rim. And the Sacramento Kings have won. What a thriller at Arco Arena. What a finish by Kevin Martin. The right hand throwing it up over Duncan. Bounce, in, red light, go home a winner.
We spoke about it, and it's time to get the great man, Kevin Martin, of course, on the show, Brisbane Bullets owner. And, of course, we get towards NBL 21. The Bullets have in an interesting off-season, had a pretty good one so far. Froling and Drimmick are entering the fray. The Magnay conversation continues as we maybe look to, what are we calling him, Homicide? Two-way Magnay? Are we still going with that?
We can't go with that anymore. He's NBA ready.
Oh, okay. There you go.
We're going to get into that.
Either way, great things happening in Brisbane. Kevin Martin joins us. Hey, man, welcome to NBL Overtime.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Hey, it has been, of course, you're fairly young and almost not quite a rookie in your ownership world, but you're fairly young into it, and it's been a weird 2020. But 12 months into this thing, what have you learned from where you were 12 months ago when it comes to ownership?
Oh, well, I learned you have to control your emotions being on the outside the lines, and because you don't have any control of what happens during the game. So that's one transition I had to make. But it's been a good process. It's learning, being able to interact with the players from a different point of view and talking to the business side more often. So as you said, I'm still a rookie, but now I can get that chip back on my shoulder I had when I was a rookie in the NBA.
Hey, just on that, do you reckon you gave more advice to the referees on court or sideline as you are now?
I'm not a Mark Cuban when it comes to ownership. So
we can't afford the TVs.
Yeah, right. Definitely on the court.
What have you enjoyed about the ownership process thus far?
Well, I think it's just all about learning. I thought I knew everything when I was on the court, mastering the craft and looking at ownership and saying it's not hard to bring in guys to put a championship team together, and then you learn it's kind of hard. There's so many variables that go into being an owner. It's just not putting guys on a player. There's other investors, so it has to work on the bottom line also. So it's kind of that thing you just juggle all the time.
My question for you is before Liam asked you that question, you said you had to learn how to check your emotions and keep it in check. Now, the end of last season, that last game, you had to win by 30 plus points, right? Talk to me about before the game, your thoughts, and then covering that cover to win the game. Like, how was your emotions at that point?
Yeah, so I always went on my career. I always tried to be a realist. Like going into the game, like if I was going against Kobe Bryant, I would say, let's try to keep him under 40 tonight or something like that. So going into that game, you got to win by 39. And there's a part saying, okay, it's the last game. Let's just have fun and, see what happened. But the guys, they just got rolling. So it was exciting to see, and the crowd was into it. It was just it was one of those momentum games that can boost you into the future. So it was just exciting to see on all levels.
Was ownership always something you wanted to get into while you're playing and, of course, carving, out a very successful NBA career? Was ownership and pro sports ownership something always in the back of your mind? How does this all play out for yourself personally to where you sit today?
Well, as a player, I knew I never wanted to be a coach. I didn't want to mess with, us knuckleheads. So I always wanted to do like something in the front office. I didn't know if that was GM or on the NBA level. Ownership wasn't even a thought when it came to that because of the finances aspect of it. But, Jason Levy came to me and we started talking about possibly being able to own an international basketball team. So we started looking for a couple years, and over that time I started just developing that knack of I want to learn how to be an owner. Why not do it with Jason beside me? He's been successful with the Memphis Grizzlies, the Philadelphia 76ers, and now MLS DC United. So it was just kind of one of those things that evolved over time, and I'm happy I took the jump. So far, I am.
Is it everything you dreamed of? Like when you signed those papers to become an owner and where we sit today, is it everything you thought it was going to be, even though you are learning still?
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things when you get drafted, you always hit that moment probably 2 or 3 years down the line when you're like, okay, I made it to the NBA, I'm here. I think that'll come with the ownership when I actually put my handprint on the team a little bit more and just getting used to doing certain things under ownership.
You talk about putting your handprint on the team. How hands-on are you guys in the process, the day-to-day process with the team and putting it together? You've obviously got Andre as the head coach. You've got Sam McKinnon as the GM of basketball now. How involved are you in sort of recruiting and putting the team together?
Well, we kind of throw ideas off each other. We did a lot during the free agency period, and now after the free agency period, we're trying to find, imports and just trying to just put a quality team together. So it's not one of those things where one person's putting their chest out on at the table. It's more of collective, especially when you have a head coach like Andre, who's been through it all and just really successful. And then you have Sam, he learned a lot from Andre. So it's been a good process for all of us to work together, and they've done an unbelievable job. I always say, you never want to be the smartest person in the room, and I'm definitely not that with Andre and Sam.
Now, you obviously had a big focal point of your team is now with the New Zealand Breakers. Lamar Patterson played a huge role, vital, with the Brisbane Bullets, 2-time first-team All-NBL.
Yep.
How do you begin to replace this player who meant so much to you?
Yeah, the highs and lows of free agency. I'm a Lamar Patterson fan. Back in February, we tried to get a deal done. Before that, nobody knew what was about to hit a month later once the pandemic hit, and things changed when it comes to being an owner and just all that. But I think somebody like Lamar, first of all, we wish him the best over with my guy Matt in New Zealand. He did a lot for Brisbane over the past couple of years. I think he's just a player you got to do it collectively. I think he was third in MVP voting last year. You don't replace that kind of talent with one player. But we're pretty confident with the work we've done over the past couple weeks or a month with having Anthony come in and Harry and Tamar and Tanner that we can do it. And we still know we have some work to do, but we're ready for the process.
Will Magnay. Of course, really, I reckon it was almost 12 months ago, that our man, Homicide, dubbed him two-way Magnay. And Liam and I were like, hey, he's got potential, but let's just put the skids on a little bit. And then had an amazing year, had an outstanding year, and the reports are that he's in conversation with NBA teams. And before we go into what might happen if he does, in fact, go down that route in the next couple of months, have you given him advice? Has he spoken to you, of course, being an NBA veteran, about ways to go about certain things and ways to maybe not go about certain things when it comes to trying to get into the league?
Well, I think my role with Will, always leave the door open if he does have questions. I talk to him, pretty frequently when I was over there in January when all the NBA hype started becoming real. I knew still to this day teams are on his tail. There's, more than 6-7 teams that really want him. And I think that's the ultimate goal for, I would hope, the whole organization, to see somebody like Will go to the NBA and fulfill his dream, because that is the highest level of basketball. And for him to get that opportunity, I think it's just a testament of, what Andre has done with him, his parents have done with him, and the work he has put in himself. And he has put himself in a pretty fortunate situation to change his life. And I'm pretty confident that will happen once everything gets back to normal.
What's your view on his game and him as a prospect?
Well, I think the sky's the limit for him. I think first he comes from a great family, and I think that's very important when you're building a player that is not growing up to see NBA basketball. Like, he can't just go to an NBA game. So to have the work ethic he has, it definitely started at home, and to be the kid that he is, that also started at home. So it's just very gratifying just to see somebody like that, to be able to continue the great Australian history of playing in the NBA. And I think he's definitely the next big star out of Australia to play in the NBA.
You started this, Homicide. What are your thoughts on Will Magnay right now? Still the same? Because he's going to be the MVP of the league. Actually, Homicide said if he's here,
100%.
he's MVP.
100%. Because if he just shown, like it was just a great stride from Tasmania last year till how he ended the year. There's no way he comes back. And from how you sound, with 6 teams on your back, we may not see Will Magnay, and happily let him go and let him flourish, good on him. But again, the sky's the limit. If he were to come back and play next season, the landlord, everybody got to pay rent.
Yep.
Everybody got to pay rent, which means you think the block party was elite last year. What is it going to be this year when now he really believes, what he can really do?
And his next evolution is, being able to demand the ball in the post and score, put his team on his back on the offensive end. And I think with the departure of Lamar, usually a guy like that, he takes it up another step. So that's something that he has been putting in a lot of work this offseason. So he has to take that next step to be able to do that.
What do you think you guys have in Anthony Drimmick and Harry Froling?
I think we have a very versatile player that can play the 2-3, and then sometimes when we go small, he can play the 4. He's a very tough kid. I was a fan from afar last year, so I'm glad we were able to sign him. And then Harry, he's the big guy. He might have to play a lot more minutes depending on Will's situation than he expected, but I think he's very capable of being our anchored down low. But those two guys we're ecstatic about. Hopefully they're not just here for 1-2 years; they're here for the long haul.
Have you mentioned obviously researching and getting into pro sports ownership and leagues around the world? First of all, what made you settle on the NBL? And secondly, where do you view it today when it comes to its strengths and what it needs to continue to be one of the best basketball leagues in the world?
Yeah, it's definitely one of the best basketball leagues in the world. I think that's been shown when, LaMelo has a chance to go one or two this year, which he probably will. When somebody like that decides to come and join your league after all the people around him do the research that they need to do to take care of a talent like him, I think that speaks volumes right there. And then the coverage that NBL gets over here on ESPN and all that kind of thing, it's growing. I think the next step is one thing the NBA was very good at was branding the players. You see a lot of them on social media now. When I first got in the league, it wasn't really like that. So over the past 15 years, that was just one of their things that they try to do. So I think we need to brand our players a little more, and they need to buy into that process of being able to connect with the communities, because it helps them beyond basketball. They have a lot more life to live after that. So if they know the real person on the court, connecting with them throughout their career, they're more likely to want to work with them in the future.
Just on that, did you know much about the NBL before your research started, or were you pleasantly surprised when you came across this league?
No, I think about 3 years ago we started researching, and it wasn't like a known league like that. But I think what Larry has done is unprecedented. What he has been able to accomplish in his short amount of ownership of the NBL. He holds everybody accountable, and that's something you want from an owner. And I think Jeremy, the commissioner of the league, they just have a good thing going, and hopefully we're here to enhance the NBL.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of COVID, right? In terms of COVID, how are you and your family personally coping?
I think it's one of those things where it slows you down in life a little bit. It may, just being always on the go, going from city to city, business meetings. If you give it, if you're, of course, we all get depressed about, the deaths and everything, how it affects people's lives and all that. But if you step back and look at it, it gives you a chance to, be around your family and realize what's most important in life, and being able to still be efficient on like what we're doing. We don't have to sit in the studio, and now you can spend more time with your family. It's just a new normal, but that's the only thing you can do. You can just take it with strides, do your part, keep distance, wear your mask, that kind of thing, and keep pushing because basketball is going to be back. Life is going to be back at some point, especially when they find a vaccine, and you can't forget what you were doing in COVID when it came to spending time with family and loved ones. But in the grand scheme of things, people have to work, and you got to keep pushing.
You talk about basketball coming back, Kev. You talking with the other owners and people within your club. How are you feeling about NBL 21? You confident about the season ahead?
Well, I think everybody should be confident that's involved in it. It's like being a player going into the season. You got to feel confident in winning the championship. So I think our first steps, feel confident that season's going to start on time. As we all see, everything is just day to day. Nobody really knows what is going to happen next week with this. But I feel like Australia's, like I said, I feel like they're a year ahead outside of Victoria, as you spoke on it. But you guys handled it well, and you position yourself to be able to get back a lot more normalcy than we can over here.
Before I let you
play
go,
ball?
about to ask.
What'd you say?
You still play ball?
Man, not really, man. You know, I seen too many athletes, you know, like my good friend Bobby Jackson, when they retired, they went to play pickup and he snapped his quad. And I see too many horror stories, but I'll do a shooting contest with anybody that wants to shoot.
Right. It's like you left the game unscathed. You came out unscathed. It's like,
yeah, right.
I don't put my life on the line doing this. I'm not doing it for no money, just for leisurely. And might really, really hurt myself, I feel you.
Yeah.
I feel you.
Yeah, it's a lot different when you play rec ball. I remember them days. I'm not going back there.
Hey, mate, we appreciate you jumping in and having a chat to us too, because it is unprecedented times right across the world, but we are getting excited for NBL 21. We love you being a part of the league and leaving your footprint and your handprint on the Brisbane Bullets, and we continue to look forward to seeing that team evolve under. Actually, before we go, import. Can you give us a little bit of sneak? No one watches this, mate. So any little sneaky hint on who you've been able to pick up?
On the import, you said?
Yeah, you got one that the Brisbane you might be going to replace Lamar with?
We got a couple. We got some work to do.
Okay.
We can't throw it all out there. It's still free agency period, so I don't want anybody taking anybody from us.
That's fair. That is fair enough. That is fair enough.
We'll let you guys know, though. As soon as we get our big fish, we'll let you know.
Can't wait. Hey, I don't have 500,000 like Draymond Green, so this is not tampering, Larry. If you're watching it, I don't want anyone in trouble or fined. Kev, thank you, mate, and good luck both personally with everything in the Brisbane Bullets.
All right, I'll see you guys this upcoming season.
All right.
Hashtag NBL Overtime to get involved.
Watch out! No, he didn't.
This ain't no cupcake league, man.
Wow! That is sensational. Talk about seeing incredible. How incredible was that? Oh, baby, that's good. This is ridiculous. They're the hottest team in the league.
We're the best team in the league.
Once you get to the top of the mountain, I guess you want to see how long can you stay there now.
As good as it gets. He is unstoppable.
It does not get much better than this.
That is absolutely epic. How's the wow factor of this incredible NBL season?
Hashtag NBL Overtime to get involved. Brisbane Bullets fans, as we get towards NBL 21. Excited? Damn well should be. As we just spoke to Kevin Martin, who I think has a little bit of air of confidence about how this team is going and how he continues to put, as he touched on, his handprint on the franchise. So, boys, just quickly, before we get to some news, if you are Kevin Martin or the ownership of the Bullets or Andre Lamanis, Lamar Patterson is gone. Will Magnay questions, as we just touched on. I'll start with you, Homicide. What import? Only one position right now left on the roster for an import. What are you getting? Are you getting a 4? Are you getting a 5 in case Magnay goes? Where do you look?
Listen, man. Let's be clear. Very clear.
Yes.
There is no way in hell 5 or 6 teams are chasing Will Magnay still, and he does not go. I'm looking for somebody to replace Magnay, and I'm looking for somebody to replace that Patterson, both of those positions, because they are both vital to everything the Bullets do this upcoming season.
Well, that's a good point that Homicide makes, Liam, because if Magnay does leave, they do have 2 roster spots and they still have 2 import spots. So that's something that I think your contingency plan would well and truly be in place.
Well worked. You've got your pencil and your paper. You're working you're crunching the numbers there, Cam. I like it.
No, I'm just on eBay. I'm just selling my Yanni Wetzell jersey and just signing it.
Yeah, look, Corey's right, man. Like the first thing they need to do is replace Lamar Patterson, right?
Yeah.
They need to make sure that they're talking to the right guys. I've flagged, and look, there's a couple of teams in this situation. There's a nice little waiting game to be played with Scotty Hobson, is my understanding. And if they pull a little switcheroo there, I think that would work out very nicely for the Bullets. But you also need to, and look, they know, he says 5 or 6 teams, but they also know how legit those conversations are, how far down the line. And whether it's a contingency plan, we may have to replace Magnay because those talks are really, really serious, or it's we do have to replace him. Let's start moving and shaking in that regard right now. Either way, they need to be doing their groundwork, make sure they've got their lists right, and they know who they're going to pounce on because, yes, if he leaves, I have to replace him with an import and a guy who can come in and start at the 4.
All right, let's get to Cairns Taipans because we continue to wait. Scotty Machado is probably the big name that we all eagerly await, not just Cairns Taipans fans, but neutral fans. But they did announce Jordan Nartai. He joined the club, 2-year deal. Second one's a club option, I believe. We'll start with you, Liam Santamaria, because this guy's talented and he's screaming out for more opportunity. And NZBL, of course, wins a championship in the off-season only a couple of weeks ago. And we expect he'll get that at the Taipans.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, get a little bit more run than he got at the Breakers. And I like it. It's a nice pickup. He's a guy coming into his prime and has great experience, right, with the Tall Blacks and a number of years in the league with the Breakers. He's replacing Blagojevic, who was fully contracted last year in that spot. So that's definitely 100%. That's an upgrade. And Nartai can do some things, man. If he's confident, he didn't have that confidence offensively. You saw him constantly getting dragged off the floor by making mistakes or missing a shot or things like that. And we saw that game in Perth, right, where he had the ball and he just didn't make a play there to win the game. That's just a lack of confidence. That's not the player that he is. And the NZNBL, the standard was not anywhere near what the NBL is going to be, but he was killer in that second in most valuable player voting. I really like what he can do defensively. Dan Shamir really liked what he could do defensively. You had Tom Abercrombie often guarding Jerome Randalls and John Robertsons and these like gun point guards, Casper Ware. When he'd come out of the game, he'd often put Nartai on that guy to play crucial lockdown minutes on stud offensive players, no matter how small they are. So Kelly will have that up his sleeve off the bench, and I think it's a savvy signing for that.
Definitely. I agree with everything you just said, Liam. Sorry, Cam. Everything you just said, I agree. Plus, he's more experienced, so to have that coming off your bench, I mean, it's a luxury. So I'm sure, as you said, even though the NZNBL is not the NBL, he's still able to take away from that confidence, and that's the most important thing. So I wish him luck. It's a great pickup.
I was just going to say, Homicide, to you, like in this situation with reduced rosters with 10 players into NBL 21, being able to find guys who will play a little deeper off your bench, like Jordan Nartai, guys who can come in and play a really good role, as Liam touched on defensively, they're going to be worth their weight tenfold because you're able to get minutes from your 9th and 10th guy this year, 8th, 9th and 10th guy. It goes a long way to, hey, we nearly made the playoffs, we'll reset, to, hey, semi-final, game 3, grand finals, we're in this thing. And he's one of those guys, I think, on the side.
I'm going to take it a step further. Remember before there were 2 imports per team, and then when the league announced we're doing 3, there was a lot of bitching and complaining. Guess what? It's back to 2. Some teams have 1 import. Opportunity is here now. So a lot of players who did not have the opportunity to get those minutes because the other import was here. Here's your opportunity. Let's see what you do with it. That's all I got.
I agree. I think we spoke about this 3 or 4 months ago. I think the league should stay at 2 imports going forward. There's a Next Stars program that you can bring in a younger generation imported player, and it gives an opportunity to the Australians and the Kiwis as we continue to grow the basketball and we get better players coming back from college, more opportunities to play. I think it's something the league should seriously look at in future years.
But guys have to step up, prove,
no doubt,
and embrace the opportunity.
Agreed.
Because it's all earned. It isn't given. You shouldn't just have it there and nobody does anything with it and does not take advantage. So everybody that would say, I didn't have the opportunity, here's your shot now. Show us what you got.
In this case, NBL 21, Liam.
Well, and they have a few of those guys, right? Mirko Jeric is one of those guys. Majuk Deng. Even Kawat Noi, right? You guys, if there's no DJ Newble on the wings there, you guys are going to get a whole bunch more of the rock and opportunity. And Nartai certainly fits into that boat off the bench as well. Let's just talk about the Taipans for a moment. They've been quiet, pretty quiet throughout the free agency, right? Other teams have been making splash signings and stealing the headlines. But they have been quietly doing a very nice job right? Now, Jawai and Kenny, good re-signings. We thought they'd get them done. They got them done. Kawatnoy is back. That was a 1+1 with a mutual option. Well, he's back in the lineup. And now we just wait to see if they can bring those two guys back. We haven't heard anything official about Scott Machado. I'm starting to wonder why it's taken so long to hear something official on Scott Machado. But we also haven't heard anything official about Cam Oliver overseas. That, we're hearing Angus Brandt and Brock Murdum and Yanni Wetzell. We haven't heard, Oliver's officially off the table. If they can get those two guys done, they've upgraded a little bit off the bench. They've got the other pieces back in the lineup. They will have done another very good job over the off-season.
Hashtag NBL Overtime to get involved. And hey, as you know, we might all still be in the Bunnings bubble in far north Queensland as we get towards NBL 21. All right. Jamie Perlman, of course, a man from a playing perspective in particular is no stranger to NBL and fans and lovers of the game. And he's been named associate head coach of the Adelaide 36ers to sit next to Connor Henry. What can you tell us about his coaching recently, Liam? Because he has been plying a very good trade overseas.
He's been in Malaysia. I caught up with him in Las Vegas last year at the Summer League. He was doing some recruiting, and I think it's a nice signing by the 36ers, right? Come in, we were wondering who they were going to have as their assistant coaches, and he's an accomplished guy who knows the league really well. Very highly respected. Aaron Fern loved him in Cairns, and a lot of people think really highly about what he can do, and nice to have him back in the league and a good pickup for the 36ers.
Hashtag NBL Overtime. Hey, Homicide.
Talk to me.
What's happened to your fashion segment, man? You've been too busy moving. What's happened?
Why you put my business out in the street, man?
I'll tell you why. Come
on, Liam, what's going on, man?
I'm dressing up, hoping I get a little play in Corey's fashion segment, and here I am.
Wait a minute, I kind of like the jacket. Looking like a little bit of peanut butter.
Normally I'm in a hoodie.
That's true.
Hoodie. I tried the dress.
Nice jacket.
Nice seg. Because thank you to Maya. Donald Sloan reports linking him just on the Adelaide 36ers. Reports linking him. Would you like this pickup if it becomes official, Homicide? Guy that
I'm waiting for it to become official, but
okay.
Because if it does, this guy has some serious game, and he'll be a big signing and a big plus for this Adelaide 36ers team.
Way to bury the lead, Cam. Donald Sloan, right? This guy, if he hasn't lost a step.
Well, hang on a second. I'm only burying the lead because they're only reports, Liam. We've gone with hardcore news first.
Come on, man. Yanni Wetzell and Jamie Perlman.
That's official news. That's what I thought. You know what? Hang on. No, you're right. Come on. Break something for us. Because if you drop something here, I'll know that it's confirmed, and then I'll go harder with it.
Hey, my man, Olgun's already reported to the ESPN. Now, we wait for official word from the 36ers, but I'm just going to say.
Yeah, he's excited. It's happening.
I'm very excited about this dude.
Look at his eyes.
I'm very excited about him because we all watched him in the league, and he's 32. He's not 36.
True.
If he hasn't lost a step, if he's still good to go, didn't play much last season at all, which is, we wait to see how he's going to come in, but he's going to be able to come in and do some damage, man. We can really score. If he comes in and gets along with his teammates and fits in really well, that's going to be a nice piece for the 36ers.
And that would complete the roster, right? Okay. Hashtag NBL Overtime to get involved. What are you laughing at, Homicide?
Just you, man.
I'm a comedic genius. You're right. Thank you. Anything else, boys, before we do get out of here? No?
Somebody needs this. Somebody got to sign Hobson, B. There's a couple teams. Look, I wouldn't be surprised if Brisbane it might be a switch. Somebody got to figure something out, man. We can't lose this dude, B.
Have you spoken to him?
No, but we can't lose him. He's too good. Something got to happen.
Have you spoken to any recent NBL imports recently who are unsigned in the league?
Yo, listen, man, I ain't speaking to nobody, man. All I've been doing is moving, bro. I've been speaking to Sabrina. That's who I was speaking to.
I'm sure she's having the time of her life. You got anything, Liam, before we get out of here?
Well, Scotty Hobson. So here's my understanding of his situation.
Yes.
Focused on getting back in the league.
Mm-hmm.
100% focused on getting back in the league. And I talked about how his price was really high, right? So the break, he didn't want to commit. I wrote about why the Breakers went with Lamar Patterson. Cost much less, and Hobson didn't want to commit for a period of time down the road.
Mm-hmm.
My understanding is, talking to some people who have been talking with his representatives, they're saying, look, he wants to if you want to take him off the table right now, it's going to cost this much, which we understand is probably too expensive for all you guys. But if it doesn't work out and he doesn't land that spot, loves the league, loves the NBL, would definitely be interested in having that conversation. And at that point, as you guys know, well, the market is a little bit different. So that's why I'm saying, if teams are willing to wait, if Brisbane's willing to wait, we wait to see what Melbourne wants to do with Casey Prather, whether that works out. If that doesn't and they need a replacement, my understanding is Newball's gone. He's going to sign in Japan, I think, is my understanding. Definitely overseas. But maybe it could work out with Scotty Hobson.
At Melbourne.
Why not?
Okay.
That could work anywhere.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't disagree. I like the idea. I like the idea that clubs are taking it in much different. Some are locking their roster in early. Some are waiting. Some are obviously working through different. I like the idea now that we've got 9 different teams doing it, and it feels like in 2 or 3 different ways. And I think it adds intrigue and drama to the league, because it happens all in other leagues around the world where you take different approaches. Don't just follow the leader. Do it your own way that you feel comfortable and you think it'll work. And I like it from our perspective.
I think waiting is a really good play right now. This is a different situation to what we've ever seen in the offseason before. But even with the usual, the status quo, waiting worked out great for the Taipans last year. And you think about, those are the Lamar Patterson, Bryce Cotton. These kind of guys came onto the market late. Well, they came on the market mid-season. But a guy like Scotty Hobson wants you to wait. I mean, Melbourne waited for Casper Ware, and they were able to eventually bring him back that season when they were patient with him. I like the idea. Southeast Melbourne, we flagged it. If they hadn't waited, this Wetzell move would be a problem for them right now. But waiting, not having those guys locked in, it's so early. If we're going to tip off in December, at the start of December, you still got heaps of time. So if you're a fan of one of these teams and you see all these other teams locking in players and signing imports and everything, just stay cool, calm. You'll get your guys. And if your GMs or your CEOs are waiting right now, I think it's probably the clever play.
Now, before I wrap up, because I tried to wrap up 5 minutes ago, not realizing you were going to start dropping Scotty Hobson and linking to Melbourne United rumours. Are you done?
Done.
Homicide done?
Done.
Good. Hey, appreciate it, Homicide. That's a very nice print, but I want to see your head behind you this time next week in NBL Overtime. That's what I got for you. Hey, Brett Maher's going to join us. NBL Rewind on Thursday. Legend is going to join us as well. Make sure you check that out. Grab it all. We're going to see you this time next week. # NBL Overtime to get involved. See you, boys.
Peace.